Hey everybody, this is Charlie Smith with Savannah Music Chit Chat. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Tonight we have a special guest in the house with me, a very, very close friend of mine and a all-around musician, a legend in this town, Chris Stubbs. What's happening, brother?
Hey man, how you doing?
Oh man, it's
well
awesome.
Round, you got it right.
Oh man, come on, you know better than that. Hey brother, man, let's get into it, man. Let's go back to your roots, man. Where does this thing take off at?
Piano. About 9 years old. Had an anchoring to play some piano and got lessons, and took about 7 or 8 years. And back in the my early days, I guess, when piano wasn't cool, it was guitar. So I of course, parents wasn't gonna swing for a guitar after all those years of piano lessons. So I rounded up a guitar and taught myself a little bit. And sucked at that for a long time, you know, over the years. But that's kind of how it all started out. My brother Mark, a couple of years older than me, you know, we kind of followed and I trailed him in high school, but he had a new rock album every weekend. So it was a game of Monopoly or Risk on the floor, listening to some Bad Company and some Uriah Heep and just, you know, a whole mix of different music back then. A lot of good times, and kind of set my way for the kind of music I like to listen to. You know, being a classic piano player, and piano lessons, it was. It just wasn't. I mean, it's technical and it's needed, but it wasn't that. It just didn't get my, you know, get my groove going. So.
I hear you. Yeah, I know, man, because I know where your groove's at, man. I've known you. It seems like my whole friggin' life is one of my best friends in the world, guys. And that's why this is a very important interview for me as well. Chris, so let's just go back to where, like, 5150. I remember back in the early 80s when you played with them guys, man. You want to tell everybody who the members were in the band?
5150 was cool, actually. Ronnie Kersey was the bass player, and he sang, and we ran at each other on the old days of cruising River Street, you know, and he hollered out the window, says, "Hey man, call me, we need a guitar player." So I hooked up with him. Of course, Danny Schwindler was the drummer, and Brian Worth was the other guitar player, but he doubled on keys. And he was a way better guitar player than I was, but, you know, so I just kind of, you know, it all kind of grooved. It was a really good thing. And then we were tight. We started getting really tight and booking some gigs. And then, of course, Jim Doubleday said that he knew of a singer. You know, we needed a front guy. We were actually getting booked. You know, gigs were getting booked by roadies. So, and they brought Mike Day in, of course. You know, and he had big PA. And back then it was like, wow, you know. So, but huge. Yeah, he came in and we did it for several years. You know, best we could. You know, and just we had a blast. We were real young, of course. You know, there's other guys that were like making it on records that were our age, but anyway, we were still having fun. So
y'all sounded amazing too, by the way.
Yeah. That was a good group. Had a lot of fun. We even did a reunion a couple years back. You know, the original lineup, except Freddie Williams had joined in with us, but and did that show at Coach's. So that was a lot of fun. You know, just those first few weeks, you know, getting back together and rekindling and just jamming, it was a lot of fun. It was.
All right. Yeah. So at that time, we moved on to actually the time in my career when I started off getting me in Toxic Oscar. I'll never forget that, and I love you for that, man, because I spent 30-something years with them guys. But anyway, in that era, you and some other guys formed a band called Shut Up and Drive, a legendary rock band that people still remember to this day.
Yeah, that was a trip. And actually, believe it or not, Mike Day had called me and he says, hey man. He was thinking about putting this, or was working on some other guys putting something together, and asked if I wanted to, and I was like, sure, you know. But at the time, you know, of course, Bart, it was me, Bart, Zipper, Mark Vacker, of course, killer drummer, good dude, knows everything about stereos. And I'd known him actually through the stereo business, Kimball's, because we were all about, you know, loud cars and everything too. So, and then we all got together with Mike and we went over to Beaver's house. And Beaver, I had never met him. You know, of course, he's a bass phenomenon, and
Sure,
and just
yeah.
it's just incredible player. And I'm thinking, what am I doing with these guys? You know, they were way more talented and more skilled, and just on a different tier as far as musicianship, I guess you could say. So, and actually that band, it kind of brought me to that level. You know what I'm saying? And I guess during that time I was playing guitar, but I had switched to keyboards with 5150, so I was a utility guy. I had to, like Mark, had to schlep all that equipment, keyboard rig and guitar, and you know, some fun times. I remember gigs. At first, that first gig, we were all nervous as hell. Man, Bart's cord was all from him spinning around. It was curved up and it's coiled up in a knot. But once word got out, it was like, man, we'd play somewhere Thursday night, and then we'd have a Friday night. Sometimes it'd spill over to a Saturday night gig there, and a Sunday. All of us were working day jobs too, of course, except for Beaver. But
And you couldn't move. It was elbow to elbow every single
I remember at Sports Page, I'd have to walk in with my guitar case up on my shoulder, you know, because it was standing room only. It was a trip how that band just really took off. It was a lot of fun, and we had our ups and downs, but for the most part, it was fun. It was a good group.
One of the best rock bands in the history of Savannah, Georgia, by far. I'm telling you right now, bottom line.
Yeah, I was lucky to be part of it too, you know. But
man.
that was where the shower curtain idea, which I never did, but I remember a couple of times it was me and Bart and Mark, and it might have been even Mike Day at sometimes, different places where a lot of people around. It's like, oh, dude, you playing Shut Up and Drive, and you're the singer, and I'm just kind of sitting in the sidelines, and have you ever heard of those guys? And I'm like, yeah, they're pretty good.
You know how it felt, man, being one of your best friends in this world, man, and riding down the road, and all of a sudden, Dave Shepard from I-95 comes on and says, "Homegrown rock, I will tell you who it is later." And he played the song that I was there, that you wrote before anybody heard it, and then hearing it on the record. Do you know what that did to me, man?
Yeah.
Chili Bump Central, man.
Yeah.
That was friggin' awesome, man.
That one song was a riff that just was there, and I think I recorded it on a 4-track, reel to reel. And then, of course, after Shut Up was out playing for a while, we wanted to do some original stuff, and I threw that out there. And, of course, we all arranged it, and Beaver came up with some real cool, the bridge in the center and several other parts. You know, of course, Mike had it just all worked out.
Awesome, man.
And that was it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, man. So check this out, Bubba. Thomas Claxton, the big T.
T-Clax.
Very proud of him, what he's doing and everything, man. Thomas, we love you, brother. You've been in so much bands with him after Shut Up and Drive. The Long Awaited, currently now with Thomas Claxton in The Myth, which is playing this coming Saturday, guys, at Coach's Corner. Mm-hmm. Get your tickets, because these guys rock the house. Tell us a little bit about playing with Thomas and those bands, man.
Well, Thomas and I started out, he used to come around when he was still doing the coffee shop thing, real young, but he had always wanted to, heard of us and wanted to play and stuff, and we got together, jammed a few times, and we started out originally, Thomas put a band together called The Long Awaited, and that was the precursor to, The Myth.
The Myth, yeah.
Years before, though, it was a 5-piece group. I played keyboards, and we had Troy Brown played lead guitar, and then it was John on bass. Mm-hmm. Of course, Thomas singing, and Mark Vacker on drums. And then, we did that for quite a while, and then it just kind of, I can't remember the reasons why, but we disbanded. And then later, we did it again as a 4-piece, and I played guitar. And that was, of course, it wasn't as good, kind of sucked.
Oh,
anyway.
man.
But we did that for a good while, and it was a lot of fun, because I had never been in a position where I was the only guitar player, so it was I did the best I could. But
it was a challenge as well.
Yeah, it was challenging. It was, and all the building blocks to, just trying to get better at what you do,
Okay, well, now you're in The Myth.
Yeah. And the myth, of course, you know, when I moved back to Savannah from Charleston back in 13, that was a given, you know. They were already a 4-piece, you know, so we practiced at his house for all weekend. It was like 3 days, and we had 4 or 5 songs that we had to learn, and I learned all the other ones. And we did like a Sunday gig, was the first one, and it kind of gelled, you know. Been playing with those guys since then, off and on. Even when I moved up to Marion, you know, would come back down for a gig St. Patrick's Day. You know, those were one here, one here, one here, one here. Bring a bus down and camp out at the visitor center. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Looking forward to this weekend. It's been a while. We hadn't jammed in. It's almost been about 8 months, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Of course, we're all practicing this week too.
We're going live with Thomas tomorrow night about the show.
Oh, cool.
At Coach's in the Sound Garden at
Nice.
Coach's Corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun.
Yeah, I talked to John. I might swing by there for a little bit.
Come on by and sit by us, man.
Yeah.
But I want to say this, not just on behalf of myself and not because you're my brother or anything like that.
From another?
From another, yeah. This comes from the heart, and not just from me. I have talked to some of the most unbelievable, amazing, successful local musicians in this town. You are, and have been, you are the missing link for every band. You are the one that keyboards, guitar, vocals, etc.
Utilities.
You're the man.
Yeah.
You don't realize how important your role has been and how important your musicianship has been to all the musicians that you played with and everybody that listens. You are friggin' awesome, Chris.
Dude, I'm proud to hear that, dude, you know, because I still, to this day, I just don't feel, you know, I could be better. I'm not as driven. I mean, I wish I was more driven with the instrument. I mean, John Willis, phenomenal bass player. Mark, killer drummer. You know, Thomas he's one of the best vocalists, you know, around, you know, and look what he's doing. He's playing with some big name guys, you know, here and there. Yeah. And Craig, of course, you know, I always wanted to. I still get a neck, you know.
Me too, man.
Hey, Craig, what's going on?
I'll tell you what,
anyway.
Craig's, not only is he a good musician, great guitar player, but he is one hell of a human being as well, too, you know.
They're all great guys.
I mean, you play with great guys.
Yeah.
Hey, just between me and you, nobody's listening to this, man.
Okay.
Who's the coolest out of Mark Vacker and Thomas Claxton? If you had to pick one, who is the extra coolest?
I'd have to say it was Mark. Sorry, Thomas. You know,
we're just playing, man. But yeah, it's hard to pick really one. Both those guys are incredible, man. I'm telling you what.
He's both of them are just everybody's got their own personality, and those two are definitely way off. But yeah, love them both.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Love them too, man.
Yep.
We got a close-knit family in this music business here in Savannah, Georgia.
That's right. It's been fun, man. And some open mics would be cool if we could get that same kind of group, you know.
Yeah,
that crew of people. I'll talk to John, see if he'll do something up there. But
yeah, that's a good idea, actually,
you
Chris.
know, little open mic jam or something like that.
We'll have to keep that in mind. Well, brother, you're going to have to come back again because we got so much. I mean, we could sit here for me and you for 10 hours talking about stuff, man. These people need to hear all this stuff. So
cool.
We'll get together again, man, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being on this show
I appreciate
today.
you being here, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you guys for tuning in.